Being 4 months out from the original launch of the Xbox Series X and S, I thought it'd be a good time to be able to kind of look back a little bit as to where the console was then versus now. Today is episode 1 of Then versus Now with the Xbox Series X. November 10th, 2020 is when we had the official release of the Xbox Series X and S, and from that time up until even now, it's still really flippin' hard to get a console in your hand. Every single day has been a difficult struggle since its launch for players to be able to get their hands on a unit, because as soon as it goes up online that it is available at Target and Walmart and Best Buy and so on, it's gone.
And it's gone.
4 to 5 months later, we are now seeing that we are getting a little bit more stock and players are starting to get their hands on the Series X and S and being able to experience what the system has to offer. When we first started out at the beginning of the console launch, the main focus has been on backwards compatibility, Game Pass, and the idea that all of the exclusive first-party titles from Xbox were going to be coming to Game Pass immediately. The biggest one at the time was going to be surrounding Halo Infinite. And we know since then, Halo Infinite was revealed and it kind of flopped and was not ready to go. This got many fans in the Xbox community really riled up and really concerned that Microsoft and Xbox was really going to drop the ball when it comes to a beloved franchise like Halo. Graphics looked last gen, it didn't seem like it was up to snuff and it was up to par with the quality of game that title can deliver and has delivered in the past. So Xbox pulled the plug and held things off despite all of the marketing material and everything under the sun being pushed towards Halo. Even the Series X box that you bought it in has Halo and Master Chief all over it, ready to go. You can go to 7-Eleven and it's all Xbox and Halo all over it. Unfortunately, and probably best for itself, Microsoft decided to hold back on Halo Infinite, and it looks to be coming out for the end of 2021. So as we have the new console around November and December, it's the holiday time, some people are getting their hands on the console. The biggest uproar that we saw at the initial launch of this was, where are the games? Where are the games? Where are the games? There are no games to play. Phil Spencer's whole MO has been really, before the launch of the Series X, has been really focusing in on cross-generation play, Game Pass, and backwards compatibility, as well as their first-party titles that are going to be coming. Phil Spencer and the Xbox team spent so much time and effort marketing towards the idea of all of these studios coming under the umbrella of Xbox for future releases down the road, but players were sitting there waiting to see what was actually going to be coming when they got their hands on their brand new console. What we did experience with the Series X at the beginning of its launch is a redesigned UI, upgraded, faster, using and taking advantage of a brand new SSD. Instead of having just a traditional hard drive built into it, these were all pluses and check marks for players to be able to get the best horsepower and best experience out of their console. Fans were very excited to be able to play with the Series X and be able to get that optimized experience, and for those that didn't want to be able to break the bank, they were able to go and get themselves the Series S. Both systems had their pluses, but both of them also had their drawbacks. One of the big things currently is that the Series X has the expandable SSD drive, but if you're like me and you live in Canada, it's costing you north of $300 to expand the internal storage of your machine. Now, up until about February of 2021, Xbox Series X has sold 2.8 million units despite its scarcity and limited stock, due to things like the pandemic, as well as just being able to have the restrictions of people scalping and grabbing all of these consoles as soon as they were coming out and onto the shelves at stores. This is making it very difficult for Xbox to be able to get their units out there and get them into the hands of players. But this has definitely been an improvement from where they were for last generation, where when they launched the Xbox One and the entire series for that, the initial focus for the Xbox One was, as you know, focusing on TV, and Call of Duty, and football, and TV Guide.
TV and movies, TV. Xbox. Watch TV. TV.
Television, TV, television.
Television, TV. Xbox is about to become the next water cooler.
The amount of times that we heard them talk about TV on stage at E3 was atrocious. As we have our hands on the consoles from November to December and into January, players of the Xbox were enjoying themselves because they were able to go back to previous games through Game Pass, as well as experience some of the bigger titles that are out there like Yakuza Like a Dragon, as well as going into Forza Horizon. Gears of War got an amazing update for 60 FPS, but players were still wondering, what is going to be the next thing? What am I going to be able to turn my Xbox on other than being able to play third-party titles and go through my back catalog? What is going to draw players in? And as we stand now with the console, we're seeing some drastic and really big improvements coming across the Xbox platform. When it comes to the Series X and Xbox overall, they are continuously improving and engaging their fans and engaging their audience to improve the UI, as well as improve new features and acquire new and great studios to bring them under the umbrella of Xbox. We continuously have seen since January and February a slew of updates when it comes to the UI to make things slicker, to make things more customizable, to be able to have dynamic backgrounds within your system itself, to make it and tailor it to your liking as the gamer. Now, aside from just having an improved UI and a prettier system and being able to customize your tiles the way you want, Game Pass has been the biggest heavy hitter going into February and March of this year of 2021. What we've seen is an improvement in terms of the amount of games that have been coming out to Game Pass, more backwards compatibility, but also one of the bigger things was the added bonus of boost mode when it comes to a lot of the Xbox titles. And as we are sitting today with Xbox and our controllers in our hands, we're experiencing existing titles and some titles that we haven't gone back to play yet and haven't had a chance to play, and we're experiencing maybe for the first time or revisiting for the first time in a long, long time. Going back to games like Far Cry, like Gears of War, being able to experience them in 60 FPS with next-gen graphics, improved lighting, ray tracing, 4K dynamic range, all of these things are coming down the pipe for all of these existing titles that are out in the wild, some exclusive for Xbox under Game Pass and others for third party, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Where Xbox has been doing a lot of good right now is that they have been taking advantage of the hardware, of the ability to improve existing titles and continuously beefing up the whole back catalog that they have to support, while working on future titles like Halo Infinite to be coming out in the fall. Xbox released in November with a lot of promise and a lot of talk around Game Pass, and Game Pass being the big piece, as well as xCloud. And where we stand now is that we are experiencing those things, being able to have xCloud out there for people and players to be able to experience playing games like Doom on their phone, or it's going to be on their tablet or their PC. Xbox is continuously broadening the stroke and broadening their scope of players that they are working with and giving players the ability to play where they want and how they want, which is what they were promising as they were going through with the initial launch of the system. And as we were getting the Xbox Series X and S out in the wild, and we've had it into the new year of 2021, Xbox expanded its library by introducing EA Play and bringing EA Play games under the umbrella of Game Pass. Prior to this year of 2021, EA Play was its separate own subscription service. It allowed players to play older existing EA titles and franchises like Jedi Fallen Order, like the Madden series, as well as being able to play some other ones like NBA Live and the Need for Speed series as well. And this was great for players that wanted to be able to expand that, but it didn't necessarily hit home for everyone that wanted to pay another subscription service on top of Game Pass, their Netflix, and so on, to be able to take advantage of some older titles or recently released ones. Xbox changed that this year by bringing in EA Play under its realm of Xbox Game Pass and expanded its library, and we are seeing that even up to today, where the library of games is continuing to branch and expand and grow, where we're getting the releases of the latest Madden games, or it's NBA 2K, or it's going to be on Jedi Fallen Order. Lots of these titles are now under all of the Game Pass, and this is expanding the library where we are today. And where Xbox started from the beginning of the console generation of the promises of being able to expand and play anywhere and expanding with studios and looking at different acquisitions and expanding into their library of studios that would work with them, Xbox was trying to make sure that more and more is becoming exclusive to them on their platform, and they did just that by completing the acquisition of Bethesda. Now, as we sit here today, we are getting titles across the Bethesda library, from Elder Scrolls to Wolfenstein to Doom, all within the Xbox Game Pass library. This also provides a huge amount of promise for players and gamers and fans of Bethesda titles to be able to have future games all under the umbrella of Xbox and being first-party titles now. As the acquisition is complete, we are now going to have these Bethesda games as exclusives to Game Pass and being free under your Game Pass subscription. So within a couple of months of experiencing Xbox, Game Pass, the horsepower behind the Series X, we've gone from a lot of promises. We've gone from a lot of wait and see and a lot of things that Xbox and Phil Spencer have been striving to deliver. The question to all of you is, have they done that? We still see a gap when it comes to first-party titles. We can't dismiss and negate the fact that we do not have these giant tentpole, first-party, heavy-hitting AAA titles in our hands for the launch of the console and the console launch window. As we sit here in March of 2021, has Xbox done a good enough job for all of you to enjoy the platform and the service and the console itself? With slightly redesigns to their controller, to increasing the horsepower and the power of the Series X, all of these things are improving the overall performance and service of Xbox, and particularly enhancing the experience by adding in and expanding Game Pass overall as the subscription service, as the service for gamers. And as you turn on your Xbox and you look at your Game Pass library and your existing library of games that you own, we can see that Xbox has been making improvements since even the beginning of this launch, and definitely we look back historically from the previous generation, because it did not go well.
Television, TV, television.
Xbox lost the last generation to PlayStation, and it's taken many, many years for Phil Spencer and their team to recover to get to this point where they're still trying to build momentum and try to expand that player base. So where will we be when we look for a then versus now in a year, and we look at a full year of retrospective? Where do you think Xbox is going to be? Do you think that they are going to outpace and beat PlayStation on the PS5 front? Do you think that fans will still be waiting for those first-party titles, those big AAA games like Fable and Halo? Or do you feel that it's just simply two different races and Xbox is going in one entirely different direction than that of Sony and the PlayStation 5? With the acquisition of Bethesda, with the expansion of EA Play under Game Pass, with the improvements and consistent improvements to the system and the user interface, as well as giving updates and upgrades to existing games that we have to take advantage of things like 60 FPS, 4K, and HDR, it's showing us that Xbox is going down possibly the right path for gamers and giving them the most options to be able to play on their next gen consoles. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching Then versus Now on Assemble. My name is Matt. Thank you very much for joining us. Let me know in the comments below, what would you like to see as our next episode for Then versus Now? Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And as always, thank you for assembling with us. See ya.